Right, good evening. Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to Cricket South Africa's Level 1 umpiring course, proudly presented to you by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. My name is Tom Mokorosi. I am the training coordinator of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, also known as WPCUA. This is the first of 7 lectures, and we will be taking you through the 42 laws of cricket over the 6 lectures. Our 7th lecture will be a revision lecture. I will get through to that timetable shortly. But first, let us go through the meeting protocols for this and every other meeting for the next 3.5 weeks. As you will notice, your microphones and cameras have been deactivated. Don't panic. As soon as I have finished presenting, I will be handing over to my colleague Abdullah Steenkamp, who will present a little bit more. And at the end of every lecture, I will unmute all of your microphones and enable all of your cameras, and you will be able to converse with us to go through any questions related to the subject matter that we have presented. And of course, this evening we have a special guest, international umpire Marais Erasmus, proudly from South Africa, will be joining us and will be taking questions about his umpiring career. As I'm sure a lot of you know, he has recently retired from international umpiring, so we can pick his brain as to what made him such a great icon of international umpiring. You can ask any other question related to cricket umpiring as well as the material that we present. If you are shy and you would prefer not to speak in the meeting, you are welcome to type your question into the chat box. And while I'm on the topic of the chat box, let's make sure that we all can type into the chat box. And I'm going to ask all of you to join me in telling us where you are dialing in from today. So I am originally from Cape Town, but I am on tour for South Africa Women against Sri Lanka Women, and I'm staying in Klerksdorp tonight. So later on, I will be typing in Klerksdorp, South Africa. Abdullah, my colleague, will type in Cape Town, South Africa. I invite all of you to type in where you are dialing in from this evening or today, wherever you are in the world, so that we get a feel of the audience and we can all enjoy each other's company in the cricketing world that we find ourselves in. While you all type in your location, I'm going to just put my cell phone on mute so that it doesn't echo behind me. There we go. I can see all the locations coming in, and we will read those and acknowledge all of you later in today's course. When the question and answer session starts, as I said, your microphones will be unmuted and your cameras will be activated. Please raise your virtual hand. Microsoft Teams has the option to raise your hand, and remember to turn on your microphone, and please ask your question when prompted to do so. We might go over time. The session is scheduled for 2 hours, but I'm sure a lot of you have got deep and meaningful questions for Marais Erasmus. So we could well go into 3 hours, but I have told Marais that We won't keep him for too long. We will limit the questions asked to him to 20 questions tonight. So make sure you get your question in there if you're keen to hear from the legendary umpire Marais Erasmus. You are welcome to leave at any time. All our lectures are recorded and will be posted onto our YouTube channel, latest 12 hours after the end of each lecture. Abdullah, if I can please ask you to put in the chat box the link to all of our YouTube videos on our channel. And I'm sure you've all subscribed. If you haven't yet done so, please do so. And once you subscribe, there is an option for you to select on YouTube to be able to be notified whenever we load a new video. So instead of waiting for my email the next day to say that this is the link for the latest recording of the recent lecture, you will get that notification from YouTube if you put your notifications on from YouTube, having subscribed to our channel. Lastly, for the meeting protocols, if you don't get to ask your question, whether it's to Marais Erasmus or to myself or Abdullah, please post it into the chat box before leaving, and we will answer it, and you will be able to watch it on YouTube tomorrow. A little bit more detail about myself and Abdullah. And I will ask Abdullah to also put into the chat box our ESPN Crick Info profiles, so you can stalk us on the internet. We are both members of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. As I mentioned, Abdullah is the head of training and I am the training coordinator. I've been umpiring since 2007 and Abdullah since 2009. Abdullah last season, 2022-2023, was nominated as an umpire of the year for Cricket South Africa. So he's doing really well in his umpiring journey. He didn't win that award, but it was a prestigious nomination. He was nominated alongside international umpires Alauddin Palika, and who eventually won the trophy for Cricket South Africa Umpire of the Year. Hopefully, Abdullah will be nominated again this year, with our season ending in a couple of weeks' time. And better luck next time, Abdullah, for that award. I myself, since last year, March, have been an umpire master educator for the International Cricket Council, particularly training umpire tutors in Africa. So last year, myself and the late great Sean George went to Zimbabwe to train 19 umpire tutors from 15 different African countries. And since then, they have been rolling out ICC's level 1 umpiring course in their countries. So why then are we not presenting ICC courses to you guys? The ICC course is specifically designed for those countries which do not have their own umpiring courses. So South Africa, being a full member of the International Cricket Council, does have a umpiring level 1, level 2, and level 3 course, which we make open to the public, not just in South Africa, but worldwide. And as far as I know, we are the only country that does online training for level 1, level 2, and level 3. So stick with us and we will take you places. A lot of people always ask me, is Cricket South Africa's level 1 level 2, and level 3 umpiring qualification recognized around the world? Yes, because Cricket South Africa is a full member of the International Cricket Council. The qualifications that we will be teaching you and you will be writing exams for all are accredited by the International Cricket Council. But then what about specific countries? Can you use your Cricket South Africa level 1 umpiring certificate to start umpiring anywhere else in the world? Yes, if you are in Africa, all African countries recognize our certifications. And then if we move to the Middle East, Qatar and UAE, currently only in Abu Dhabi is Cricket South Africa's level 1 umpiring course accepted to start umpiring. We're still working on Dubai to be able to start umpiring there with a Cricket South Africa level 1 certificate. What about India? We always have a lot of candidates from India on our courses. So India is overly subscribed in terms of candidates who want to become umpires in India. So all these state umpiring panels have entrance exams, but they do not open those entrance exams to anyone and everyone. So getting a Cricket South Africa level 1 umpiring certification from us, you will put yourself at the front of the queue to be able to write an entrance exam to get onto a state panel umpires panel in India. One of our exchange program members, a young umpire from India, Daitram Singh, he did level 1 with us in October 2022. And then in November 2022, he came to South Africa on exchange. And I will share details of our exchange program a little bit later. He umpired in Cape Town for 3 months. And the experience that he got and the qualification of Cricket South Africa's level 1 certificate that he has got him a entry-level exam into his state panel for umpiring in India. So that is the route that we offer for you if you're in India to be able to start umpiring. In the USA and in Canada,
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abdullah. I think Tom has connectivity issues. Let's see if we can get him back online. Does bear with us.
Yeah, Abdullah, I'm just trying to rejoin. Please bear with me.
Okay, I copy that, Tom.
I seem to be slowly coming back into the meeting. I should be in the next 15 seconds.
I'm just going to re-enable my sharing.
Okay, I've re-enabled my sharing and I should be back up and running in a few seconds. Abdullah, can you see my screen again?
Yes, Tom. Audio is clear. I can see your screen.
Thank you for that, and apologies for the glitch. I am using a hotel Wi-Fi. I think there must have been a drop in the Wi-Fi there. So what does our next 3.5 weeks look like? Today is, as I mentioned, lecture 1 of 7. We're starting with an introduction to the course and the spirit of cricket, which I will present. And then Abdullah will present laws 1 to 5, and we will go through to our question and answer session after that. Tomorrow, we will be going through laws 6 to 11. So that's a quick turnaround time. Next week, Monday, we're back again for laws 12 to 17. Next week, Tuesday, 18 to 24. The following Monday, the 29th of April, 25 to 31. And then our last lecture of the laws is laws 32 to 40. Remember, I mentioned that the law book has 42 laws. Law 41 is unfair play. It is not examined in Cricket South Africa's level 1 course, so we do not go through it. However, this presentation does have slides that you can go through in your own time for your knowledge. Law 42 is player behavior, and that is also not examined in Cricket South Africa's level 1 exam. We will then also, in that lecture 6, go through a match preparation presentation so that you are ready after this course to go out and officiate your first match as a certified umpire if you have not yet umpired in a structured environment. Lecture 7 on the 6th of May will be a revision lecture, and I then will also take you through the online exam demonstration. It is a click-by-click demonstration, how to register, log in, and start to write your exam completely online. And you will see later that you have up to 10 days in an exam window period to attempt the exam. So it's quite flexible in terms of what time and place you are able to attempt the exam. So our lectures are completely free, and For those of you who got to this lecture today through a link, that's great. But if you haven't received my course materials and logistics email, please, if you don't mind, put your email address in the chat box so that I can, after today's lecture, add you to the mailing list so that you receive all the links to all the lectures. Every single lecture has got a unique link, so we won't use this link that we used today for future lectures. Either tomorrow morning or late tonight, I will send out a link with the lecture for tomorrow on Microsoft Teams. Exam fees are payable on or before Sunday, the 12th of May at 6 p.m. So for anyone in South Africa, it is 300 South African rands to attempt the exam. If you are outside of South Africa, it is $30 US. And I know that 300 rands is not equal to $30 US. The South African fees are subsidized by Cricket South Africa, and anyone outside of South Africa needs to pay $30 US. The payment methods are detailed on the email that I sent, the course material and logistics email. So again, if you don't have that email, either you can email training@wpcua.co.za, or you can pop your email address into the chat box. And after this lecture, I will send you that course material and logistics email. Exam link emails will only be sent to those candidates who have sent their proof of payment for the exam to training@wpcua.co.za. I do not have access to WPCUA's bank account, so I will not be able to see who has paid us apart from you sending a proof of payment to that email address. So please remember to send us the proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za by latest Sunday, the 12th of May at 6 p.m. South African time. So when I have that list of email addresses on Monday morning, the 13th of May at 9 a.m., I will send the exam link email. And as I mentioned, we will be going through the process of registering, logging in, and how to answer the online Cricket South Africa Level 1 exam. The exam is 69 true or false and multiple choice questions, and you have up to 5 attempts to achieve the pass mark of 80%. Okay, so you need to score at least 56 out of 69 questions correct for you to pass the exam. The results of each attempt are displayed immediately on your screen after you have completed your answers, and certificates will be emailed to me at training@wpcua.co.za, and I will forward them to your email address as soon as I can, and I will endeavor to do so within a day of you passing your exam. Obviously, we have people from all around the world, different time zones. I might not be awake when some of you pass your exam, so please be patient before that exam, before that certificate gets to you. It will definitely get to you. Once you have passed level 1, well done, happy for you. you are welcome to join us for level 2, which will be starting in June 2024. And you don't need to register, you don't need to ask for links. You, by passing the level 1 exam, will automatically be added to the level 2 mailing list, and you will receive a course materials and logistics email a week before the first level 2 lecture. So before we get into our laws, let's talk about how Abdullah, I think I was disconnected there shortly. I hope
Yes,
I'm
you
back.
were disconnected for 5 seconds. You were disconnected, Tom, but you're back.
Okay, thank you. So the qualifications are on the far left, and the number of years are the very first column. And really what's important to note here is that everybody's umpiring journey is different in terms of how quickly you move up the ladder. So we are starting today with level 1, and in Cape Town, Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, we umpire 5 different men's leagues. And after you have umpired for a season or 2, you might be considered by our executive committee to go to a Cricket South Africa age group tournament. And that is where Cricket South Africa starts to track your progress as an umpire, because you will be umpiring along with umpires from different provinces. Over the years, we encourage you to upgrade your qualifications. As mentioned, level 2 will be starting in June 2024, and level 3 will be in August 2024. So you could do all your levels in 1 year. It's not necessarily required. And in fact, a lot of umpires associations around the world argue that you should have a certain amount of on-field umpiring experience before you attempt your level 2 exam, and then even more experience on field before you attempt your level 3 exam. But we at Western Province, we figure in our off-season months of April, May, June, July, August, and September, we should use those months for our qualifications. So we offer level 1, 2, and 3 every winter to anyone around the world who would like to improve their umpiring qualifications. Some more tournaments that you'll get into at Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. You will start with Ladies First Division A and possibly Ladies Premier League. The Cape Premier League age group tournaments, there is one currently on the go. So there we have some experienced umpires with 2 to 3 years experience who are busy with that tournament. When you have 3, 4, 5 years experience and you have moved up the ladder in terms of the men's leagues that you are umpiring in, First Division A and First and Premier Division, then you will also be considered for the Men's Cape Premier League. Note that you cannot umpire First Division A and the Premier Division men's leagues in Cape Town if you do not have a level 3 qualification. So that's why we encourage our members to always be upgrading their qualifications whenever the opportunity arises. So let's look at our Cricket South Africa experience now as we are umpiring through the years. Cricket South Africa has girls and boys under 16 tournaments, and then girls and boys under 19 tournaments. The boys under 19 tournament is known as Kaya Majola Week. You'll note it's aligned at 6 years into your umpiring career. Again, some umpires get there quicker than others. You will see on the far right, Stiaan van Zyl in brackets. He only umpired for 2 years, and he already went as far as a universities week. Why? Because I'm sure a lot of you know Stiaan van Zyl is a former test cricket player for South Africa, the Proteas, and Cricket South Africa and the International Cricket Council tend to fast track the careers of former players as umpires. Why? Because they feel that the experience that they gained as players helps them to know the pressures that it takes to perform at the highest level of the game. Of course, playing is not like umpiring, and umpiring is not like playing, but you would have an excellent feel for the game if you have been playing for a long time and you have played at the highest level. That's why you will know that a lot of the International Cricket Council elite panel umpires are former players. Marais Erasmus had a distinguished first-class career as a player before he became an umpire. Kumar Dharmasena from Sri Lanka won the World Cup as a player in 1996, and only after he retired from playing did he start umpiring. And now he's right up there as one of the best umpires in the world. So let's move a little bit further along the umpiring journey. This week, there is Cricket South Africa's National Club Champs on the go. That is currently the highest tournament for amateur umpires in the country to be selected for. Once you reach Kaya Majola week level, which is boys under 19, the invitations are from Cricket South Africa. They are no longer nominations from your association to go to tournaments, because Cricket South Africa would have been tracking your development at girls under 16, boys under 16, and girls under 19, and the university's B week. They will then request and put you on their CSA pipeline panel to go to the what they call elite tournaments. So Wilhelm Nel on the far right, he's been umpiring for 9 years now. This slide is about 1 year old. And like I mentioned, he is at the National Club Champs. And congratulations to him. He's had a stellar season. He stood in the final of Kaya Majola Week. He also stood in the final of Cricket South Africa's USA Week. That's the university's A Week. And he is now going to be invited to write Cricket South Africa's Level 4 exam, which is a national exam. And once you pass the national exam, he will be promoted to Cricket South Africa's reserve list panel, and he will start umpiring first-class cricket from the start of next season. Please note that level 4 is not available to the public. It is only available to South African umpires who have been identified by Cricket South Africa as umpires they want to promote to their reserve list panel and who will be umpiring first-class cricket in South Africa. So we only offer level 1, level 2, and level 3 online to anyone around the world. Level 4 is not offered to anyone. Once we get to provincial level on the reserve list panel, as mentioned, you can umpire Division 2 provincial competitions. And if you do well enough there, then you could get promoted to Cricket South Africa's national first-class panel. Myself and Abdullah are on the Cricket South Africa national first-class panel. We umpire Division 1 provincial competitions. I am currently, as I mentioned, busy with South Africa women against Sri Lanka women. The T20 series ended last week, and we started with the one-day international series also last week. So we also do South Africa under-19 men's tours, South Africa emerging tours, and I was fortunate enough to be appointed to South Africa A against India A, a 4-day unofficial test match last year, December. Before COVID, we had exchange programs with Cricket Australia, the BCCI from India, as well as Cricket New Zealand, where we would send one professional umpire to that country and they would send a professional umpire to our country for 2 first-class games, 4-day games, and maybe 1 or 2 one-day games, depending on the tournaments at the time. Since COVID, that has been done away with, or let's say it's been paused. What has emerged with SA20 starting up last year, January, Lubabalo Guma, who is now been promoted to Cricket South Africa's international panel. He went over to umpire in the 100 in England in August 2023. And in January 2024, we had an umpire from England join us for a week. Hi, Abdullah. Hi, Abdullah. It looks like I've been bumped off again. I'm just going to relog in. Am I back?
You're back, yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is my screen displayed?
Yes, I can see the umpire exchange program screen.
Okay, thank you. Apologies again for that. Let me just finish. And we had a UK umpire come over for a few games of SA20 in January 2024. And it's a great experience to just mix and match cultures and also cricket umpiring techniques. with umpires from around the world. So on the far right, it's just an example of umpires and how long they've been umpiring for and where they are on their particular journeys. As mentioned, and I'm sure you all know, Marais Erasmus was on the ICC elite panel for many years, stood in a 150 over World Cup final and a T20 World Cup final, and also a Champions Trophy final. And he has retired from international cricket umpiring, and we will hear a lot more of his story later on in this evening. What I need to highlight on this particular screen is that there is an age limit for progressing as an umpire in the Cricket South Africa umpiring journey. If you have not made it to Khaya Majola week, which is the boys under 19 week that Cricket South Africa nominate you for, at the age of 42 years old, unfortunately, as a male umpire, you will not progress any further in your umpiring career. For female umpires, there is a huge push to develop more and more female umpires, so that age restriction does not exist for female umpires. So it is for male umpires. Note that as a club umpire, you can umpire for as long as you wish and as long as you are fit and keen and able to. So there is no age restriction as to how long you can umpire for in club cricket. And also, I am slightly over 42 years old, but I am still in the Cricket South Africa system because I am past that Khaya Majola week level. It's just for you to know that if you are starting out at the age of 50 years old, for example, you can do club cricket, but you won't be considered for any Cricket South Africa tournaments. So I mentioned Daitram Ray from India, who came to South Africa to umpire on exchange. And how does our exchange program work? Well, you're already on the first step, which is passing any one of our umpiring exams, level 1, level 2, or level 3. Once you've done that, then you can apply for a tourist visa for South Africa, which allows you to stay for a maximum of 90 days in the country. Book a flight to Cape Town to be in our beautiful city anytime between October and March. That is when our season runs. There is a 3-week break from around the 17th of December until the 9th of Jan for Christmas and New Year's. And I've listed the suburbs that you can book accommodation in. They are close to Newlands Cricket Ground, and there's a huge concentration of cricket clubs in and around those southern suburbs of Cape Town. Once you've done all of that, then you can complete a WPCUA membership form. You will have a link sent to you when you all pass the Cricket South Africa Level 1 exam to join Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. But we only allow residents or persons who live in and around Cape Town to join WPCUA. If you are visiting Cape Town on exchange, then we will also require you to fill in that form. Note that you will mainly be appointed to matches on weekends. The few midweek matches that we have are reserved for those umpires who don't have day jobs. And the match fees are not a lot of money at that level that you'll be umpiring. It's 175 South African rands for an under 11 T20 match, going up to 500 South African rands for a men's Premier League match. And just to convert that into US dollars, you can divide by 20. So that's about 25 US dollars for a men's Premier League match. You'll be paid cash after your last match, less 500 rands for your membership fee. And any clothing that you have got from Western Province Cricket Umpires Association will be deducted from your match fees. The best way to travel around Cape Town to and from matches is to use Uber. Please note, this is not a money-making program. It will cost you more to come to Cape Town than the little money that you will receive in match fees. It is really for your experience to improve as an umpire that you will be investing in your journey by coming to us. We do not provide any visa, accommodation, or travel assistance, but any umpiring assistance you require, we will be holding your hand throughout the process.
Well, the spirit of cricket is about going out there, giving your all, 100%, fighting against the opposition, but doing it with a smile on your face and doing it with enormous respect for the beautiful game of cricket.
Never stop. The way you conduct yourself on and off the field, it's about respecting the opposition and respecting the game.
You embracing the game, yes, but also how you play the game, what example you are for young kids growing up.
Picture, please,
The spirit of cricket is about respecting the traditions of what's been before us and those who have been before us as well. And as cricketers, we've got a duty to make sure we uphold those.
You know, you let your skills go to work when you play, but you treat each other and the game itself, which has been around a lot longer than us, with respect, and you hope that you leave it in a better place than you started with.
Playing it hard, playing it fair, and you're representing your country, and we're very, very privileged. You should cherish that.
It's obviously competitive. No professional international sport isn't, and you would never want to lose that competitiveness from any of the players, because that's what makes the game as good as it is. But it's obviously a line in terms of doing it the right way and doing it the wrong way. And I think it's one of the important things when trying to, I guess, inspire people to play the sport.
Yeah, just conducting yourself in a way that probably your parents and your grandparents would want you to. I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it.
Obviously, after what happened in South Africa, you know, I know those guys really well, and I know that they're not proud of that, and they made a mistake. And unfortunately, that's something they're going to have to live with, because at the end of the day, he made a mistake, but he's still a very good person.
Everybody will make a mistake at some point in their career, but it's about repairing those mistakes in future games and learning from your mistakes. Yeah, there's no doubt about still being competitive and still wanting to win, but yeah, certainly you can win and lose in the right manner.
But I think out of that, you know, we've thought a lot about just respecting the game and everything around the game, and just putting the focus back on just playing the game.
So it was a really closely fought semi-final, kind of went down to the wire, and you obviously kind of have a moment of celebration, but then your thought quite quickly turns to the opposition. It's obviously not something you think out or anything like that. It just kind of seemed like the right thing to do at that time.
We lost a test match against England, which was a cracking test match, I thought. Played between two very, very good cricket teams, playing aggressively but playing in the right spirit. After that test match, we sat in the English dressing room, as the losers do. They go through to the winners' dressing room and shared a beer with them. And for me, it was just encapsulated everything which was good about the game.
I remember the Ashes Test match in 2005.
For me, the most iconic one is the 2005 Ashes, when Freddie Flintoff obviously consoled Brett Lee.
When he was sitting down and when Flintoff went to him and shake his hand, I think that's the spirit of cricket for me.
Yeah, that for me is the iconic moment. Kind of the result obviously went England's way, but he took the time to console a bloke that had put in a hell of a performance.
It was something like, I want to tell you, I've got great admiration for you and the way you guys played this match.
Sure, you respect for the opposition. End of the day, it's just a game of cricket, but I think that's the spirit of cricket for me.
But you actually together, you sit down together, and that's the spirit of cricket. Friendship.
So what is the spirit of cricket? The spirit of cricket is right at the beginning of the law book. In my course material and logistics email, right at the bottom, there is a link to download the PDF of the spirit of cricket. It is a blue book, and before even law number 1, it talks about the spirit of cricket. So let's delve into the spirit of cricket. Respect is central to the spirit of cricket. The law book requests of us to respect your captain, teammates, opponents, and the authority of is specifically to players. Cricket owes much of its appeal and enjoyment to the fact that it should be played not only according to the laws, but also within the spirit of cricket. The major responsibility for ensuring fair play rests with the captains, but extends to all players, umpires, and especially in junior cricket, to teachers, coaches, and parents. So let's have a look at an example of the spirit of cricket coming to the fore. This was a World Cup qualifier between Ireland and Nepal. Let's see what happened.
Just to hoik that across the line. Andy McBride has ended up on his feet. I don't think they're going to run him out here, and that is brilliant to see. Asif Sheikh, take a bow. We speak so often about where the spirit of cricket has gone in our game, and you see it on show there, because Kamal Singh Irie has accidentally tripped up Andy McBride, and I've got goosebumps here in the commentary box because that's a touching moment. It was accidental, but he could have run him out here, and Asif Sheikh has said no. He said he's not going to do it because of the spirit of the game. That's your nominee for the Spirit of Cricket Award for 2022 for the ICC. It's that young man, Asif Sheikh.
Massive respect for Asif there.
Here's this moment, this spirit of cricket moment. He's clearly tripped him, unintentionally, albeit. And Asif Sheikh did the right thing. He had to think for a moment. It's only a split second he has. And it was lovely to see the turn. And he went back, and Andy McBride said, thank you very much. He went over and shook his hand. And he said, you've done the right thing. And equally the same from Sandeep Lamachani. Brilliantly led. There's two young, inspirational men, Sandeep Lamachani and the man of the moment, Asif Sheikh.
So where do we as umpires fit into the spirit of cricket? We can only encourage the captains to play the game in the right spirit. For example, in that video, if the wicketkeeper had taken the bails off, then at club cricket level, we could ask the captain, are you sure you want to go ahead with this appeal, or would you like to withdraw the appeal? We will find out later in the laws that a captain can withdraw an appeal, and then the batter won't be out, even though according to the law of cricket, he would have been run out. So we'll get to the withdrawal of the appeal later in the laws, but just so you know, we cannot force captains to play within the spirit of cricket. We as umpires only apply the laws of cricket, which we are about to present to you, but we always encourage captains and all players to play within the spirit of cricket. That is my presentation for this evening. Apologies for the technical glitches. Abdullah is going to take us through laws 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, after which we will be joined by Marais Erasmus for a question and answer session. So over to you, Abdullah, and I'm going to log off and connect to my hotspot rather than the Wi-Fi, which seems to be troublesome this evening.
Thank you so much, Tom. Good evening to you and the rest of the attendees. I'm kicking off this evening with law number 1, and I'll be covering until law number 5. Before I start, I want to emphasize that we are covering in this course the laws of cricket. There are many competitions across the world that incorporate certain playing conditions as part of the competitions. But for the purpose of this particular course, we are only covering the laws of cricket. Just an example, like the free hit. The free hit is a 20 or 50 over playing condition that was incorporated in various competitions. You will not find anywhere in the law book any mention of free hit, because that is a playing condition that various competitions added to the laws for that particular competitions. So when it comes to the players, and according to the laws of cricket, are there restrictions to the number of players? Firstly, the law guides us by telling us usually a match is played between two sides, each of 11 players, and one of them shall be captain. So that's usually how a game of cricket is played. But the law allows, and if there is an agreement, that the match can be played by either fewer than 11 or even more than 11. But the law again guides us that if you do decide to go more than 11 players, you are not allowed to field more than 11 players at any given time. You'll find quite often in warm-up games where the sides agree before the game starts to play, let's say, 14, 15 aside to give the whole squad an opportunity to get some game time. The law allows for that. So if there are a 15 aside warm-up game where batters will bat, bowlers will bowl, the law only tells us, yes, that is okay, but not more than 11 players to field at any given time. Also, during the match, or if for whatever reason a side is reduced to fewer than the nominated players, the match to continue as long as possible under the laws, or if there was any agreements made before the toss. When it comes to the nomination of players and the replacement of players, so what does the law say when it comes to the nomination of players? The law is very specific here. The law wants each captain to nominate his or her players in writing to one of the umpires before the toss. The toss cannot take place until both captains has nominated their sides in writing to one of the umpires. On the right is an example of a team sheet that gets used in the local leagues in Cape Town. So you write down the league, the venue, the date, And then the team seed, there are space for 11 players. Some competition allow for 11 plus 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 substitutes. But the important thing is the captain needs to nominate his or her players and needs to hand it over to the umpires before the toss. Toss do not take place until the umpire or umpires are in possession of both team seeds in writing. So does the law allow for players to be replaced? Yes, the law allows for players to be replaced, but it needs to be with the consent of the opposing captain. So what do I mean by a replacement player? So let's say the toss took place, and usually the toss takes place half an hour before the game starts. We will go into more detail in later laws. So let's say our game starts at 10 o'clock. At 9:30, the toss took place. But the game's only starting at 10. So many a times there's still a bit of warm-ups happening before the game starts at 10. Then while this warm-up, now the toss took place at 9:30, at 9:40, while the players are doing warm-up, one of the nominated players, let's say, break one of their fingers. So now, what happens now? Fingers broken, cannot then now participate further in the game. Does the law allow for that player to be changed? Yes, the law allows for a replacement player. But there's a but. That player can only be replaced with the consent of the opposing captain. If there's no consent, if the opposing captain say, no, I do not allow the player to be replaced, unfortunately, nothing we can do about it. That player then needs to stay part of the playing 11. Yes, you'll allow a substitute fielder, which we will get to in later laws. But in terms of replacing that player with someone else, yeah, unfortunately not. You need the consent of the opposing captain. So when it comes to the replacement player, so the law tells us that any replacement player can then, if they do replace the injured player, that replacement player then can bowl, bat, field, can fully partake in the game. If you do replace a player, the law tells us that a replacement player shall not bat in an innings in which the nominated player that he or she replaced already completed his or her innings for that particular innings. Let's say this is the first innings of the game and the opening bat was dismissed and now there's a need for the opening bat to be replaced. The law does not, and that the opening bat is dismissed. Unfortunately, the replacement player in that first innings cannot bat. Also, when it comes to this replacement player, any unserved penalty time, warnings or suspensions that was applied to the original nominated player, these penalty time or warnings or suspensions will be inherited by the replacement. This is according to the laws of cricket. There are some playing conditions in other competitions that state something different, but according to the laws of cricket, the replacement player will inherit any suspension, warning, or penalty time of the original nominated player. When it comes to the captain, if the captain is not available, the law allows for a deputy to act in place of the captain. If the captain is also not available, so when it comes to the nomination of players, the law allows for any person associated with the team to nominate the players. Often you'll find, especially at a higher level cricket, you'll find team managers bringing the nominated seats to the umpires or the match referee. The law allows for that. When it comes to the nomination of players, any person associated with the team can nominate the players. But, so after the nomination, only a nominated player to act as deputy when it comes to discharging the duties and responsibilities of the captain. Also, including at the toss, you cannot send the coach to toss. You cannot send the team manager to toss. If the captain is not available, it needs to be one of the nominated players to come do the toss in place of the captain. Umpires. Who appoints the umpires? Usually the governing body of cricket for that particular competition, they appoint the umpires for that particular game at the highest level, which is, let's say, at Test match cricket, the International Cricket Council. They will appoint the 4 umpires, 2 on field, 1 TV umpire, and a 4th umpire to officiate in that particular Test match. So 2 umpires to be appointed where possible. And the law wants the umpires to be at the ground at least 45 minutes before the start of each day's play. If play is about to, let's say play on day 1 will start at 10 o'clock. According to the law of cricket, umpires needs to be at the ground by 9:15 if it's a 10 o'clock start. We'll see in later slides why an umpire needs to be at the ground 45 minutes before play starts, because there's lots of duties that the umpires needs to perform before play starts. So we'll get to those laws when it comes to the pitch, the creases, etc. But we'll get to those laws. Are we allowed to change an umpire? Yes, the law allows for an umpire to be changed. Sometimes the umpire can become injured or ill, or if there is exceptional circumstances, the law allows for the umpire to be changed. But there's a condition. The law tells us if you now do decide to change the umpire, the replacement umpire to only stand at the striker's end. So that is the condition. But there is now a but. Unless both captains agree that this replacement umpire can take full responsibility. So yes, you're allowed to change the umpire, but then the replacement umpire only to stand strikers in. But if both captains agree that the replacement umpire can take full responsibility, no problem. So before the game starts, there are things that you need to consult with the captains. The law tells us that the balls to be used during the match, usually the governing body decides which balls to be used. Similarly, with regards to the hours of play, times, when is lunch, when is your drinks interval, when do you start, when do you end, those are also determined by the governing body. Also before the toss, you need to confirm the boundary of the field of play, and especially if there is an obstacle that is within the field of play. Example, like at some school grounds, you'll find rugby poles inside the boundary. So before the game starts, you need to have a discussion with the captain and decide what is going to happen if the ball should hit the boundary. Now, under law 19, we'll go into a bit more detail. The use of covers also needs to be discussed with the captains, and if there are any special conditions, those things also needs to be discussed. And whatever gets decided from point 1 to 5, please inform the scorers of any of these agreements. When it comes to fair and unfair play, who are the judges of fair and unfair play? It's the captains, players, coaches. The law guides us, the law tells us that the 2 umpires, they are the sole judges of fair and unfair play. Only the 2 umpires. When it comes to the fitness for play, here again, the law guides us. Who decides whether the field or conditions are fit for play? Again, only the 2 umpires to decide whether conditions of ground or whether it's the weather or the light. 2 umpires together, they decide whether it is good for play. So there are two criteria that needs to be taken into account when the umpires do decide whether, when it comes to fitness for play. What are those criteria? The first one is dangerous, and the second one is unreasonable. So these are the two things that the two umpires need to take into account when they together decide whether conditions of ground, weather, or light, and if things off or the game is to continue or to start or to stop. The two things that they need to take into account is dangerous or unreasonable. On the next slide, to the definition. What is law definition of dangerous and what is the definition of unreasonable? So we'll get to that in the next slide. Again, the law guide us there because sometimes conditions will not be regarded as either dangerous or unreasonable merely because they're not ideal. There are sometimes where the grass or the ball is a bit wet, and the law just tell us that if it is a bit wet, it shall not be regarded as either unreasonable or dangerous. Let's see what the law tells us. What is the definition of dangerous? So when it comes to judging when it is dangerous, if there is actual or foreseeable risk to the safety of any player or umpire. So that is what you need to take into account. Are there risks to the safety of the players or the umpires? If your answer to that question is yes, then the law tells us conditions are then dangerous. What is the definition of unreasonable? Law tells us that conditions are unreasonable even though it poses no risk to the safety of the players or the umpires. It would not be sensible for play to proceed. An example of this is a dust storm. Let's say a dust storm goes over the ground. It is not players or umpire. The safety is not in danger, but it makes sense because the sand's going to blow into your eyes. Difficult to breathe sand in your nose. Those are an example of when conditions are unreasonable. And in that instance, it would not be sensible for play to continue. So now we know what are the definitions, the two conditions that we need to take into account. Conditions need to be either dangerous or unreasonable. We now know what the definitions are, and that is when the two umpires together discuss conditions. Those are the things that they need to take into account. Also, when umpires together consider when they do ground inspection as an example. So if the ground is so wet or slippery as the bowler does not have reasonable foothold while running in to deliver the ball, the fielders don't have power of free movement, batters are not able to run between the wicket or able to play their strokes. If this is the case, then the umpires need to consider that these conditions are dangerous and unreasonable. Excuse me. So, suspension of play in dangerous or unreasonable conditions. So, if the umpires now decided together that conditions are now either dangerous or unreasonable, what do they then do? If play is in progress, they need to suspend play immediately. If play is not in progress, and while doing the inspection, the umpires together decided that conditions are too dangerous or it is unreasonable, they then shall not allow play to recommence. Also, the law guides us by telling us that while play is in progress and the umpires do not agree about conditions, they need to immediately suspend play. Again, We are covering the laws of cricket in this course. There are some playing conditions for other competition that handles is slightly different. But according to the laws of cricket, if, for example, it is late on day one of a test match, let's say close of play at 5 o'clock, it's now, let's say 4:30, cloud cover, the light is fading, the umpires have a discussion. One field, it is too dark for play to continue. The other umpire feels, I think the light is still good enough. So law guide us. If there is a disagreement, what do? You need to suspend play. For one field, conditions are either dangerous or unreasonable, you need to suspend play immediately. Both umpires need to agree on conditions for play to continue. So what do you do if you now decided that conditions are either dangerous or unreasonable? You take players off the field, and what do? You go sit in the change room and watch TV. Yes, you can do it, but the law wants the umpires, or if they did suspend play, to monitor the conditions. They need to make inspections as often as appropriate, and importantly, no players, coaches, team managers, captains to be around them. They need to together do the inspections. If you often find players wanting or coaches wanting to have a say, all you need to tell them is, captains or coaches, we are going to do our inspection. Give us a few minutes. Once we've done our inspection, we will convey our decision. So where do umpires stand? Law guide us by saying, firstly, the umpire to stand where he or she can best act upon any decision that may be required. That's firstly what the law tells us. Secondly, when it comes to the bowlers and umpire, to stand in a position as to not interfere with the bowler's run-up, nor to interfere with the striker's view. So you'll often see when you come to the bowlers and umpire, there's no fixed position to stand, whether you, some do stand a bit further than others, some stand a bit closer than others. You need to stand where you can best see, where you are most comfortable, where you can touch the front foot, you can touch the batter. When it comes to the bowlers end, it's where you are comfortable. When it comes to the strikers in umpire, here the law actually tells us the strikers in umpire needs to stand on the onside, needs to stand at square leg, whether it's a right or left-hand batter. Strikers in umpire need the pitch. There are times, and the law allows for this, for the strikers in to go stand on the offside. Sometimes you have a short leg fielder, a leg slip blocking your view, then go stand on the offside. If you'll often find late in the day, the late setting sun, with the sun in your eyes, maybe not possible to stand on the onside, then the law, it allows you to stand on the offside. And if you do decide to go stand on the offside for, let's say, field is blocking your view of the popping crease and the wickets, you then need to inform the captain of the fielding side that you're going to stand on the offside. You need to inform the striker that you're going to stand on the offside, and you need to inform the other umpire that you're going to stand on the offside. So in modern day cricket, do umpire change ends? Yes, the umpires change ends after each side had one completed innings. If there is a disagreement and a dispute, umpires they need to get together. They discuss whatever disagreement or dispute there is, and then together they make a final decision. Can an umpire change his or her decision? Yes, the law allows for it. The law just tells us umpire can change his or her decision as long as that change is made promptly. But I wouldn't advise you just to start changing your decision. Be careful applying point number 12. A law allows for it, but if you are going to suddenly start changing decisions week in, week out, your credibility as an umpire is going to go through the roof. When it comes to signal, I'll start from the top left. The out signal doesn't your head with the index finger pointing, as you can see in the pic. It's important that we do it above the head. Another signal that indicates something else. So that's why when you do give the batter out, raise the hand with the index finger raised above the head. Second picture, boundary 4. When the complete the boundary 4, you need to end up with your hand in front of your face. Because if you're going to end up with your hand stretched outside your body, it's going to look to the scorers like maybe it's a noble. We'll get to the noble sign in a few signs time. But the point I'm trying to make, when signaling a 4, you need to end up with your hand in front of your chest, like in the picture. Boundary 6, raise the hands above the head. The bye signal, open palm with the hand raised above the head. Leg bye, raise knee, and you can touch your raised knee with your hand. Do not face the scorers, rather go side on. Sometimes the scorers is difficult from 100 meters away to see that you're signaling a leg bye from front on. Do face sideways when you do signal the leg bye. The short run, as indicated in the pic, you can use your left or your right hand. Doesn't matter. You don't need to tap your shoulder. You can just keep it there, and that's indicating a short run. Wide ball, arms horizontally stretched out, like in the pic. Second pic from the bottom is the dead ball by crossing your hands. No ball, horizontal arms stretched out, only the one. Cancel call, new ball signal, and then there's the penalty run signal. There are two types of penalty runs. There are penalty runs and penalty runs to the fielding side. Penalty runs to the fielding side is as in this picture, where you put your hand on the opposite shoulder. You can do it with your right or your left, and you keep it on your shoulder. You do not move it. This will tell the scorers that you are giving penalty runs to the fielding side. When you give penalty runs to the batting side, your hand actually now needs to move up and down. Your hand needs to be moving up and down, and that indicates to the scorers penalty runs to the fielding side. How I remember it is batting tapping. So if I do indicate penalty runs to the batting side, I need to tap up and down. If I'm only signaling penalty run, if I'm signaling penalty runs to the fielding side, I place my hand on the opposite shoulder and I keep my hand on it. I do not move it. Some more signals in modern day cricket. And we'll get to the last hour when you indicate this to the scorers by pointing to a raised wrist with the other hand. Two new signals that was incorporated a few years ago. If there is a level 3 or a level 4 conduct, let's start with the level 3 conduct. So the first, there are two signals when a level 3 conduct needs to happen. The first one is by putting your arm to the side and raising it up and down. That's the first signal for a level 3 conduct. And the second signal for a level 3 conduct is by raising both hands, palms facing the scorer's shoulder height. So it's not like a boundary 6. That's why boundary 6 is arms above the head. The second signal for the level 3 conduct is palms facing the scorers and palms being at shoulder height. Level 4 conduct, also 2 signals. First signal is putting your arm to the side and moving it up and down, almost like a traffic cop. And the second signal for level 4 conduct is by raising an index finger, but now your hand needs to be shoulder height, and not like the out signal where your index finger is raised above your head. This signal is the second signal for level 4 conduct is your index finger is about shoulder height. When it comes to signals, and we'll deal with scorers in the next law, we actually non-verbally speak to the scorers throughout the day by the means of signals. So there are times where there are more than one signal off one ball. So an example is bowler bowls a no ball. The ball goes against the pad, batter playing a shot, and the ball then ricochets towards the boundary. So it's a no ball off the pad, goes to the boundary. So now there are 3 signals that needs to be given to the scorer. So you'll do them in order that events occurred. So the no ball was first. You'll signal no ball to the scorer, and you'll wait for acknowledgement. The scorers needs to acknowledge your no ball signal before moving on to the next signal. So after they've acknowledged your no ball signal, now you indicate the leg by signal, and they need to acknowledge the leg by. And after that, you then indicate boundary 4, and they need to acknowledge the boundary 4. So when it comes to speaking to the scorers, all signals to be made by the bowler's umpire. Scorers do not look at the strikers in umpire. They always look at the bowlers in umpire. So all signals to be made by the bowlers in umpire. If there is a short run at the striker's end, the striker's end will signal it. But when it comes to signaling to the scorers, that's the bowler's end umpire needs to signal to the scorers. So when it comes to the correctness of scores, umpires needs to make sure that the scores are correct. So at the end of every session, let's say at the end of the first session, before the once you call lunch and you go off the field, do not go eat lunch first. First go to the scorers and ask them, are you satisfied? Are your books balancing? Do you have the same score? If scores are correct, then you can go and enjoy your lunch. So do it at every interval except the drinks interval. Also at the end of the day, make sure that the scores are correct. When it comes to the scorers, 2 scorers to be appointed to each game where possible. And what do the scorers do? Scorers, they record all runs scored, all wickets taken, and they record the number of overs bowled. I mentioned in the previous slide about the correctness of the scores, and the law actually tells the scorers, you need to frequently check your books. Do they agree? That's why it's important for scorers to sit next to each other. So one scorer should not be sitting like at club level. You often find scorers, especially if it's maybe a windy day, wanting to sit in the car. One scorer sitting in one car and another scorer sitting in another car. No, they need to sit together because they need to check their records and frequently, and it needs to agree. And also I mentioned previously that it's important for scorers to acknowledge each and every signal that they get from the umpire. When it comes to the ball, the weight and the size, I'm going to cover men's and women's cricket. So when it comes to the weight, the law just tell us it needs to be not less than 155.9 grams and not more than 163 grams. So anything in between, that ball is legal according to the laws of cricket. So that's according to the weight. And when it comes to the circumference, not less than 22.4 centimeters and not more than 22.9 centimeters. Women's cricket, when it comes to their weight, 140 grams to 151 grams. Anything in between is acceptable. Anything less or anything more does not comply with the law. And the circumference is 21 centimeters to 22.5.
Abdullah, sorry to disturb you. It looks like your presentation is stuck on signals.
Okay.
Maybe you just need to unshare and reshare.
I'll do that. Yes, Tom, thank you.
Please, thank you. Perfect. Thanks, Dula.
Tom, can you confirm that we are seeing the weight and sizes of men's and women's cricket balls?
That's correct now.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. When it comes to the approval and the control of the balls, the approval of balls usually gets done by the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. Like at international level for Test cricket, the International Cricket Council, they are the governing body. And when it comes to Test cricket, there are only 3 balls that are approved. They are the Kookaburras, the Dukes, and the SG balls. No other balls are approved to be played at Test match level. At Cricket South Africa level, in the Division 1 competition, the only ball that's approved for 4-day cricket is the Kookaburra turf ball. At Western Province Cricket Association, which govern club cricket in Cape Town, South Africa, they've approved balls for certain divisions, like in the Premier division, they'll allow the in-way ball to be used. In the division lower than that, they'll allow, let's say, the Protea ball to be used. So the point I'm trying to make is, when it comes to the approval of balls, the governing body for cricket for that particular competition, they approve the balls to be used. And when it comes to the control of balls, the balls needs to remain under the control of the umpires throughout the match. Umpires needs to take possession of the ball at the fall of each wicket, at the start of any interval, at the start of any interruption, at the close of the day 1. Balls always needs to be in possession of the umpires. When it comes to a new ball, unless there's been an agreement made, either captain may demand a new ball at the start of each innings. So when it comes to more-day cricket, and I'll use Test match cricket as an example, the law allows the fielding side the option after 80 overs has been bowled to ask for a new ball. It is an option. The fielding captain does not have to exercise the option, but the option is there after 80 overs has been bowled. And if the captain do then exercise the option, umpires then to show the new ball and inform the batters, and also to show the scorers that the new ball has been taken. So what happens if a ball becomes lost or the ball becomes unfit for play? Let's say the ball gets hit out the stadium into the river. Gone. Ball is gone. What do you do? How do you select a replacement ball? The law guides us by telling us that, in our example, if the ball do become lost, like the ball gets it out the stadium into the river, umpires then together to decide on the replacement ball. And what guidance do they use? When they do select a replacement ball, they need to look for a ball that had comparable wear and tear to which the previous ball had received before the need to replace the ball. So that's why it's important that umpires do regularly inspect the ball, do look at the ball. So just in case the ball needs to be replaced, you then are fully aware of the condition of the ball. And if you do need to choose a replacement ball, you can then go to the box of replacement balls and then find a ball closest to it. You often won't find an exactly the same condition of the ball, but you need to find one as close as possible. The example I used was a ball that let's say got hit out the stadium. The ball is not lost, but many times, sometimes the ball do come out of shape, or the seam become loose. If that is the case, you apply the same criteria, similar wear and tear. So often players will say ball is out of shape. That's why it's good to have those rings, and players can then visually see the ball goes through the rings. The ball is then still in shape. If it doesn't go through, the ball is then out of shape and the need to replace the ball. Importantly, who decide on the replacement ball? The umpires, and the umpires alone. Batters do not have an input, nor does the fielding captain as input on the replacement ball. Umpires just needs to find the replacement ball, and once the replacement ball has been found, to inform the batters and the fielding captain. The last law I'm covering for this evening is the bat. The bat consists of two parts, a handle and a blade. We're going to start with the handle. The handle to be made of cane and or wood. And the law allows for the upper portion of the handle to be covered with a grip. When it comes to the blade, the law now tells us the blade to only consist of wood, no other material when it comes to the blade. Here's a picture of a test match that happened in 1979 when Dennis Lilly came to bat with an aluminium bat. At the time, there was nothing in the law that mentioned bat must be of wood. So legally, this was allowed in 1979, but subsequent to this test match, the lawmakers then changed the law and added the part that when it comes to the blade, only of wood. Law also guides us when batters do put material over the bat, that material to not be of such a nature that it causes unacceptable damage to the ball. When does the ball make contact with the bat? So contact between the ball and the bat itself. When I say the bat, I mean the whole bat, from the handle right up until the end. So the whole handle and the blade, if the ball makes contact with any part, if the ball touches the handle, the ball then made contact with the bat. So the point I'm trying to make is the whole bat. Contact with the ball is if the ball makes contact with the batter's hand holding the bat. Emphasis on hand holding the bat. Also, any part of the glove worn on the batter's hand holding the bat. So it must be hand holding the bat or glove worn on the batter's hand holding the bat, or any additional materials like the grip, or some batters do put toe guards on their bat. So according to the laws, if the ball makes contact with the whole of the bat, or the batter's hand holding the bat, or any part of the glove worn on the batter's hand holding the bat, or any of the additional materials, the law regard this as the ball striking or touching the bat, and the batter then can be given out. If the ball, let's say, strikes the hand holding the bat and it goes to first slip, batter can then be given out caught. What are the bat size? When it comes to the overall length, not more than 96.52 centimeters. So all the law tell us when it comes to the length, not more than 96.52. Can be shorter, but not longer. When it comes to the blade, the law tell us the bat not to exceed the following dimensions. The width, 10.8 centimeters. Bat not to be wider than 10.8 centimeters. The depth, 6.7 centimeters. And the edges not to be more than 4 centimeters. So when it comes to the bat dimensions, the length, 96.52. The width, 10.8 centimeters. Depth, 6.7. And edges, 4 centimeters. The next and the last slide is an example of a bat gauge. So at test match level, part of the duties of the fourth umpire is to do equipment inspection. So the fourth umpire will have a bat gauge with him or her, and usually it happens at net sessions prior to the start of the test match. It can also happen at any time, whether it's even before play, during play, but lots of times the fourth umpire will do it at net sessions prior to the test match. So this bat gauge is the dimensions as in point number 2. And if the bat fits through this gauge, the bat is legal. If it does not fit through the gauge, then that bat is not illegal. It's not legal, and the fourth umpire will then inform the player that because the bat cannot go through the gauge, this bat is not legal and can then not be used in the match. Tom, I'm handing it back over to you. That's all the laws I'm covering for this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. It's now the time that we've all been waiting for. I am going to unmute all the candidates, and I'm going to put up a slide and introduce our guest for the evening. It is, of course, Marais Erasmus. Thank you, Marais. Are you with us? Welcome this evening. I probably need to unmute him first. Hold on. Just give me 1 second, ladies and gents. In the next 5 to 10 seconds, you should all be able to unmute your microphones. Marais, please confirm if you're able to unmute your microphone, and we can get this evening's question and answer session going. I'm hearing some rumbling in the background. Is that you, Marais?
How about now? Can you hear me, Tom?
Yes, loud and clear.
Lovely.
Welcome and good evening, Marais. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Tom.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into the questions, I'm sure everybody on the screens can see Marais' illustrious CV. 4 ICC Men's Cricket World Cups, including the 2019 final at Lord's, probably one of the best games of cricket ever witnessed. 2 ICC Men's Champions Trophy tournaments, including the 2017 final between India and Pakistan. That must have been electrifying. And 7 ICC Men's T20 World Cups, including the 2021 and 2022 finals. And the 3 ICC Women's T20 World Cups that Marais stood in, he was in the final of all 3 of them. So Marais, congratulations on an amazing career, and you've been an inspiration to many of us. We're going to open up the floor for questions from anyone and everyone. And I'm going to be sneaky and steal in the first question out of a maximum of 20. And I'm going to ask you, it might be on the screen, but which would you say is your favorite match of all time? When was it and why?
I'm trying to get my camera on, but not successfully yet, I think. Yeah, there isn't just one. I suppose if you're involved in nearly 400, it's difficult to pick one. But yeah, 2019 World Cup final at Lord's was obviously very special. It was an amazing match, but for a more personal reason, becoming the first South African to be on field in a World Cup final made that special for me. Plus, my family obviously being there made that moment so much more special. So that one, and then the 2 men's 2020 finals in Dubai and Melbourne. Melbourne having 87,000 people at the MCG. You can imagine the atmosphere. A good thing maybe was that England dominated that final, which silenced the Pakistan support. But early in that tournament, I did India-Pakistan, which had 91,000 people, and we could not hear a thing. So a lot of guesswork based on years of experience in that match.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Marais. And I'm sure many memories that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Abdullah, have you got one question for Marais before we look at the hands up in the meeting room?
Tom, I'm going to forfeit my question. There are millions of hands up. I'm going to give the opportunity to the others. Good evening to you, Marais. Good to see you and hear you again.
Hello.
Right, Abdullah, since I'm displaying the screen, if you could please go into the meeting room and facilitate the Q&A with the hands that are up. Thank you.
Yes, Tom. First hand raised is Tabiso. Tabiso, can you unmute your microphone and you can switch on your camera if you want to and ask Marais your question. Tabiso, can you unmute your microphone, please?
So,
Tom, can you hear me?
Hi there.
Go ahead.
Yes, Tabiso, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool, fantastic.
Okay,
my first question.
I would like to ask a question regarding when you are umpiring. So, if you are a 4th umpire during the game, so why is it important to check the logo of maybe the gloves or pads or the pad of the players?
Okay, it's an interesting question. The ICC has got guidelines set. It's all about too much advertising, and they don't want to make the players sometimes look like maybe a Christmas tree with full of decorations. So yeah, they've given guidelines, and it's the duty of the fourth umpire and the others, if they see any breach, to report it, and then report it to a gentleman in the Dubai office, who then acts on it and sends a notice to the players. Previously, the umpires had to fill in those code of conduct forms, but nowadays we send a message to this gentleman at the ICC, and he deals with those infringements. There's also special regulations for ICC tournaments where players may not have any logos on their bats, because they could be advertising a product that is opposite to the ICC sponsors. So those are the reasons for those regulations.
All right, yeah, I did hear the answer. So last question. So which brands are they allowed to be used?
I don't know the exact answer to that, but there's guidelines given to the match referees. There's lists of bat manufacturers, etc. And a player wants to have a private logo on his bat, needs to write to the ICC, and then they get permission to use those.
All right, thank you.
But I think for a level 1 course, you don't need to worry about those things yet.
Okay, I was just asking a question.
Yeah, fair enough.
Thank you for your question. Thanks, Tabiso. Next hand that was raised is Ali Zohaib. Ali, can you unmute your microphone, please, and ask your question to Marais?
Ali, before you go ahead, if we can just restrict the questions to 1 per person, please, because I know there's a lot of people queued up to ask Marais a question. Thank you. Ali, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. Ali, can you unmute your microphone?
Can unmute my microphone.
Maybe Ali's difficulty unmuting his mic. Ali, we can come back to you. I'm now going to number 3 in the queue, if you're not able to unmute your microphone. So number 3 is Dick Vijay. Can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yeah, sure. Just want to make sure you can hear me, Marais.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Thanks.
Yes, I can hear you.
Marais, nice meeting you. A lot of regard and respect for all the job that you've been doing. I follow your work, and you were incredible especially in the 2019 World Cup final along with Kumar Dharmasena. So my question to you is regarding in the present day, regarding the DRS review system, what we kind of watch on screen. What's your take on the umpire's call? When we see a ball is kind of pitching, and there's a margin of the ball hitting the stump, it's kind of deviating, and we see there's some portion of ball kind of has a contact with the stump. It's an assumption or anticipation, with the technology. I know there's a lot with the technology going on and off. Maybe in the future we might get some accurate details. But in the present day, whatever we have, Marais, what's your take? Do you think the umpire's call should completely go away? Or if the umpire's call says it out, that it should be out? What's your take on that? Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think firstly the umpire's call is there because although the technology is better than the human being, it's still not 100% accurate. They have admitted, the Hawkeye guys said, judging height is their biggest challenge. Line is less of a challenge for them to be accurate. I think that has come from the old adage of the benefit of doubt and things like that. And as an umpire, I think we should in cricket, we should keep having the umpire's calls, just for the fact that technology isn't that accurate. The second part of it is, as an umpire, you don't want to give out too many umpires' calls, because that means that the margins for LBW was very, very wide, and maybe the benefit of doubt principle should have adhered to. But it doesn't mean that you are incorrect, because the ball is actually hitting the stumps. But if you want to be analytical about your performance, then at the end of season, you should have only a few umpires' calls given out. So that is my opinion, but I don't think the system should change unless Hawkeye can prove that they are 100% correct, which they cannot at this stage, but they're definitely better than the human eye.
Okay, thank you so much, Marais, for your response. I mean, I won't take like much time. I know there are other candidates. Just the last thing, I mean, this is just a routine thing. I would ask you, like, when you umpire like in test matches, which takes like long time, like 5 days or something, what's your usual routine? Like, how you keep yourself focused? Like, especially if it's a 5-day test match, and like, I mean, how do you keep yourself focused and kind of like, I mean, level-headed in the ground, especially in that heat, and kind of like with like, I mean, age catching up and everything? What's a regular routine for an ICC accredited umpire like in your position?
Yeah, test matches is definitely the most difficult because of the length, duration, and as you mentioned, sometimes the climate as well. But I think you need to go up and down and not on and off. So that is a skill to be learned. But if you manage your time during an over, and when you are at square leg, because obviously you can't sleep at square leg, there's still duties for you to be done. If the ball is above shoulder or above the head to help assist with short balls, etc. High full tosses, giving information to your partner, or did it hit the bat or did it hit the body, to help him with his signal. So it's important that you manage your time, so you can't be at high alert for 6.5 hours every day. You need to go up and down and not on and off. So yeah, it's a skill to be learned. Concentration levels needed in ICC level it's very demanding, and therefore after a test match you are gutted. Maybe not physically, but mentally you are gutted. So yeah, it comes with time. You get to learn the more and more first-class cricket games you stand, because that's your preparation for test matches, and you do get better at it. And yeah, you need to obviously have a high level of physical fitness, and then a very, very high level of mental fitness.
All right. Thank you so much, Marais. That'll be it from my side.
Thanks, Vijay. Next hand up was Sakura Mies.
Hello.
Hello, Sakura.
Hi. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I grew up actually watching you on TV, so it's awesome to be, communicating with you right now. My question, just to piggyback off of the heat and whatnot, umpiring long games, 50-over games in the sun and in the heat and whatnot, and dealing with teams with personalities that are larger than life. How do you manage to control the amount of chatter and sledging that go on and off?
I think the perception is that there's lots of sledging at ICC level, but it's not the case. I think there's more sledging at club level. To umpire a club game is far more difficult than ICC level, because we have the cameras, we have the microphones, we have match referees, we have replays. So if you do stupid things, you will be caught and you will be punished. So that's a little easier there. But having said that, yes, there definitely are passionate players out there and guys who will test you. But in my particular case, I taught for 17 years, so these guys were slightly bigger than the school kids, and I could handle the school kids, so none of those were too much of a problem. Even the most difficult ones, you reminded them what they should be doing, and if they don't cooperate, you get the captain involved, and then you pass that message onto the captain. And if he doesn't, then control his own players. Obviously, in the code of conduct, you can then also code him for not controlling his team. So yeah, there was obviously many moments during my career where we had to deal with, let's call them passionate players, But yeah, I think it stood me in good stead that I used to teach.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your question. Connor, you're next up.
Good evening, Marais Erasmus.
Hello, Connor.
I'm Connor from ECEP, current level 2 umpire. I'm still on school, but I'm passionate about umpiring. But I'd also like to know, how do you get up to be at how do you get to become an international umpire?
Connor, I started in the Boland club structures. That was the year 2000. The Cricket South Africa administrators got to know that I was, as a former first-class player, got involved in umpiring, and they sent me to Universities Week, to the Country Districts Week. So apart from doing club cricket in the Boland area for a couple of seasons, I also went to some of those tournaments. In those days, we used to have under 24 3-day competition. I started umpiring in those in my second season. And then by the third season, it was actually during the 2003 Cricket World Cup, I managed to make my first-class debut when they organised a match between the rest of South Africa and South Africa A, and that was to keep all the guys that's not involved in the Cricket World Cup active. So yeah, you normally, all umpires follow the club structures, and if you do well in your own province, you will get nominated to go to university weeks or club championships. I think the club championship is still the tournament that the highest level tournament before first-class cricket. I managed to skip it and never went to a club champs, and they just put me on the first-class list after 3 years. So I was lucky there that I skipped one of the levels. But it's very, very important that you do go through those levels and take it slow. Because even though I played for 9 seasons of first-class cricket, there's so many umpiring skills that you have to learn. Just because you know the game doesn't mean you will definitely be a good umpire. But you need to get a technical law knowledge, which you can then apply in situations. But I didn't know all the technicalities of law. So that was very, very important to go through that phase. And I don't think it should be too quick. It took me 10 years to become a test umpire. 6 years before I became an international umpire, but 10 years before I became a test umpire. So yeah, you need time to learn your skill, and maybe the 10,000 hours is very applicable. Yeah.
All right, thanks, sir. I wish you all best on your future journeys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Connor. Colin, you're next up. Over to you. Unmute your microphone. Colin, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Colin.
Hi, Colin. Long time. How are you?
Yes, it's been a minute. Tom, how are you? I'm well, I think. And
well,
how are you, Marais?
Hello.
Yeah, so my question to Marais is one. I just want to know, how does Marais prepare for a game?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I was just asking, like, what are your preparations in a game that you did?
Preparation for a game, Marais?
Yeah.
Preparation for a game. Depending on what game it is, but let's take an example for a test match. So say I had a test match the week before or 2 weeks before. I would do very little nets. I'll do a little bit of net, especially if there's a player that I haven't seen that might be playing in the next test. But if I had a long layoff for say 5-6 weeks, which happens often when we are say in our winter and there's no cricket in South Africa and I get appointed to go to England, That means I will spend more time in the nets while the teams are training in the days leading up to the test match to get my eye in, sort of, and obviously to see any players I've not seen before. We also study videos of players, maybe a uniqueness to that player. Take a leg spinner, for instance. Does he bowl the googly? Does it actually turn a lot or not? Sometimes the googly's bounced more. So all those type of information you get, and then we do a lot of meetings with the captains before the start of the very first test match of a series. And those meetings are about our expectations of their behavior, or maybe new regulations that came into play that they should be aware of, or maybe a reminder of some of their players that are on the threshold of getting banned because they've already accredited too many penalty points. So yeah, those meetings are normally run by the match referee. And we obviously we'll speak more about the technical stuff to do with the play on the field. Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that in, and then there's obviously some physical preparedness, but or preparation rather, but that is long term, and you can't just do nothing for months and then think a week before test match you're going to go for a bit of run or cycling or whatever. So you always have to keep your fitness up.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the insight, Marais. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Next up, we're gonna go to Ali. We had issues with your microphone earlier, but so Ali, over to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Ask your question
Sir,
to
my
Marais.
question, my question is to Sir Marais Erasmus, is that has been done so many test cricket around the world. So I want to know a basic question about more day cricket. How was your experience, sir, to judging a close baton pad, the recognition of sounds where you found the crowds were full, like you were doing a test match in India, or to say in MCG where so many people. So how do you give me a field tips, field technique to judge close baton pad or sounds of different ways to understand the decisions, something like that, sir?
Yes, it's definitely a most challenging decision when there's lots of noise because you're hoping to hear something with a bat pad. But as a general rule, when it's no bat involved, there hasn't been extra energy from the bat, so the ball will actually go up from the pad. Yet, if there might have been a inside edge, the ball will go slightly sideways and faster. But of all those examples, there's obviously the exceptions. But that was, as a general rule, things that we were looking out for. Also, body language. It's not a foolproof guide, but I used to check body language of batsmen. I remember an example of Joe Root batting very early in his career, batting really, really well in Adelaide. And he was in his 70s, and I think he was thinking about an Ashes 100. And then he got an inside edge to Nathan Lyon caught by the keeper. And you could just see how the energy drained from his body in that moment that he realized, oh, I've made a mistake. And that was my cue. Alistair Cook nicked one down leg side in the 90s. And, that disappointment on his face gave it away that he actually nicked it. So you need to understand body language and react on body language. Sometimes you need to trust wicket keepers, but there's not many of those around. But yeah, so it's a combination of those things, going with your gut feel, trying to listen for the sounds, trying to check what kind of reaction the ball made. Yeah, and if you are uncertain, you say not out.
Can I add something here, sir, if you don't mind?
Yep.
Yeah, where they were so noisy. For example, it was impossible for you to hear something. What techniques did you apply, sir?
Yeah, as I explained, there's a bit of trying to watch the ball, how it reacts after impact, and those were the ones that you need You need to go with your gut feel. If it goes out fast, there was bat involved. If it goes out slower, most likely no bat involved.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Ali. Next hand up was Akas Ram. Akas, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yeah, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. Hi, Marais, it's a privilege to speak to you. So my question for you today was, like, when you initially started out as an umpire, what were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them? Or what were the practices that you instilled in your routine or in your practices to overcome these challenges?
Sure, yeah. Initially, it was when I started umpiring, it was time management because I was still working full time as a teacher. So that was a challenge. But then I did 3 or 4 years of first class cricket while still teaching full time. I had to take time off at school, but still you have to do all your duties and catch up with school and academic work, and most of those cases it's the family then that actually loses out, because work is work and umpiring is umpiring, and then the family comes last. And luckily for me, in 2008 I decided I'm going to give this a full go umpiring, and I quit that job. So time initially was the constraint, but more in of an umpiring perspective, there was you will go through your career as an umpire similar to a batsman. A batsman will not score runs every time, and an umpire will not feel comfortable at all times. There were times in my career where I just saw the ball as so easy and everything is in slow-mo, and there were other times in my career where I thought, where's the ball? You know, in that moment, and your confidence could drop or your confidence could be up. So you need to manage those things and make sure that you then maybe train more or focus more or change your position at the wicket if you find you're struggling to see the ball. So those, don't think this is an easy job, that it will always go well. It is exactly like life. You will have your tough moments, but yeah, just stick to your basic principles and you will get through it.
All right, thank you, Marais. Thanks for sharing that.
Pleasure.
Thanks for your question, Akas. Louis Duplessis, you're up next.
Hi, Marais. I was going to ask you about the highlights of your career, but Tom beat me to that. So let's move to the other end of the scale. Do you mind sharing one or two of your most embarrassing moments or otherwise funniest moments of your career?
How long have we got?
I have all night. My son is on the call as well. He needs to go to school tomorrow, but I have all night.
Louis, yeah, as I just said during my previous answer, the umpiring is like life, and you will have highs and lows. I can tell you that when I got promoted to be on the elite panel, before that I only did 2 test matches, so got promoted after only doing 2 test matches. So I thought, I am the bee's knees. I've got this thing totally under control, and I went to Birmingham to umpire England versus Pakistan, and I played cricket in Birmingham, so all my buddies are sitting in the pavilion. And on day 1 in the first session, I had 3 appeals and I made 3 errors. And now you think, oh my goodness, this is day 1. Where is day 5? This is going to be a very, very long test match. Yeah, so to get yourself out of that position and then, you know, survive for 14 years, firstly, after having a start like that. But that particular game, I had 0 out of 3 and I ended up 27 out of 30. So the next 27 I got correct, and I trusted my gut, and the match referee wrote, after a very slow start, Marais made a remarkable recovery. So yeah, those moments, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about yourself when you have a very difficult captain or player. And then sometimes you might question, did I actually do this in the right way? But eventually, with experience comes those, you can handle those situations better. But even as a vastly experienced umpire, then you get incidents like the Angelo Matthews timed out, and you think, now you have to be so calm and you have to apply law because we cannot ask the captains anymore. And then you think, this is crazy. This game is just crazy. So yeah, I've been involved in many of those ups and downs. Luckily, there were more ups than downs.
Thanks for that.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Luby. Next up, Mohammed Manga, you're up next. Mohammed, can you unmute your microphone, please? Okay, Mohammed, we'll get back to you. Rajib Roy, you up next.
Yeah, hello. Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Marais. It's a pleasure, to be part of this session. I'm from India. Grew up watching David Shepherd and Dickie Bird, and always had a tremendous respect and adoration for the umpires all along, and that's one of my passion also. Although I work in a corporate, I do it for small office tournaments and all. But, just wanted to know, we had the technology, say, for the last few years or a decade, you may say. Before that, it was purely the umpires who, we trusted, and we had to rely on their judgment. And it's a very tricky thing, when you take the judgment, normally nowadays also, when a particular LBW decision is made or an LBW decision is deemed to be correct, that's how you more or less, very good umpiring, though the commentators also say very good umpiring. So do you think, those technical decisions like an LBW call, when you get it correct without consulting the third umpire or without a review, those are some of the yardsticks of a very respectable umpire is, or it covers the other qualities also, like how you get along with the players, how you get along with the administrators and all that, because the respect comes, I think, from all the quarters. That was one of my question. And another one is that, say for a particular test match, when you have 5 days to work on, like your fellow umpire or who would be your co-umpire, do you know it long beforehand, or you know it a day before the test match starts, or how does that work? So these two are my questions, please.
I'll answer your second one first. No, we know our schedule months in advance, so you know who your partner is going to be, and yeah, that will only change if someone falls ill or something drastically happens.
Okay.
Yeah, about the appreciation of umpiring, or umpires for that matter, I think it's definitely a combination. To survive at international level, you obviously have to have a high level of accuracy. I think in my 14 years, I averaged between 92 and 98 was my best year in correct decision making. I remember once sitting next to a banker on a flight, and he said if he's right 50% of the time, they make money. And I said, well, I will be sacked if I'm only correct 50% of the time. Yeah, so there's a different expectation for an elite. Yeah, but I think the real difference between who is the umpires that the players respect more, it's definitely about the man management. And there's different ways to umpire and the different ways to manage. I use the example of myself and Ian Gould. We were totally different characters, but we managed the players very well because it came sort of natural to him in his way, and it came natural to me in my way. So if you want to be an umpire, don't try and be a Dickie Bird or David Shepherd, or definitely not me. Just be yourself. Work on your strengths, and obviously work on your weaknesses. But don't try and be someone else. Just try and be the best of what you can be.
Yeah, thank you. That's, I think, very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your question. Marais, only 3 more hands left. First up is Faisal, then Graham, and then Elisa. So Faisal Karim, you up first. Unmute your microphone and ask your question to Marais.
Good evening, gents. To get back to the course material, it mentions that you can have maximum of 11 players. What's the minimum amount you can have to start the game?
That question is to me. I must now think back to club cricket, which was the last time I did a club cricket game was probably 15 years ago. I think in my region it was something like 7, but I'm not sure if there's actually something in law. Is there something in law, Tom?
No, there's nothing in law, Marais, but there is in some playing conditions, definitely for club cricket. There wouldn't be in international cricket because you always have a full complement of players and substitutes. So
and
in Western Province,
they've got 12, haven't they?
Correct. So in Western Province Cricket Association club cricket playing conditions, the minimum is 7 players, similar to what you had in Boland all those years ago.
Okay, thanks for it. Another question. On the rain, if it deems the pitch to be wet and the players play on and you see that the pitch is getting damaged instead of like getting dangerous, like the boulders run up and stuff like that, can you call for play that or can you continue on?
Well, you need to have both captains agreeing to those circumstances, which hardly ever happens because there's always one team in trouble who will use those circumstances to their benefit. Yeah, but yeah, the damage to the pitch is a judgment call, difficult one, because you've already decided to play on a pitch that you deemed not perfect. But yeah, I'm not sure if Tom or Abdullah can assist there. I'm not sure what will happen. It won't happen at a professional level that they'll play on those wickets.
Yeah, we will cover the preparation and maintenance of the playing area tomorrow evening. And we will deal with when conditions become dangerous or unreasonable to play, Faisal. So stay tuned for that tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, gents. Have a good evening.
You're welcome. Cheers.
So Maria thought this was the penultimate person, but suddenly there are much more hands up. So I'm not sure how long we still have you. But Graham, you up next, and then there are 3 other hands. So Graham, unmute your microphone, please.
Hi, Maria. I just wanted to know how you switch on and off during, say, for example, a test match during play. Thank you.
Yeah, I try to switch up and down and not on and off. You need to be on all the time. But obviously up when you are at the bowler's end, because it's all about your decision making and your calls. And just slightly down when I was at square leg, still very alert. But yeah, you get into a routine. I remember when I started, my hands was behind my back because I felt comfortable, and then suddenly one season I found, suddenly I'm standing with my hands in front. So you get into these different things that make you feel comfortable. And the same when you sort of go through a same routine, I used to just draw a line with my left foot between balls, just to say, okay, now I'm set and now I'm focusing. So that was sort of that trigger movement that I had, similar to a batter maybe. And that's when I sort of expected the bowler to start with his run up. So that's what I did. That was my trigger movement to focus. So in between, I'm alert, and then I make that line with my left foot, and then I'm ready.
Thanks for your question,
Brilliant.
Graham.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Elisa. Elisa, can you unmute your microphone and ask your question to Marais, please?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
The closest, I'm just thinking, being an umpire and having to stand ODI, it's 50 overs a side. The closest I got was in '97 when I played as part of the SA women's team to England. We did attempted a 3-day test, and fielding for that whole day, my feet were killing me. How do you do it as an umpire, actually standing for so many overs?
I'm so surprised you asked this question, because if you look at the photo, you can see I am a specimen.
But I always just think, how do you guys stand for so long?
Good shoes, good shoes, vital, and a good hat, and obviously the sun cream. But yeah, your feet, my feet got used to it. If I had a layoff, maybe that first day, feet felt a bit sore, but I was lucky that I didn't really get backaches or anything like that. And even though I didn't look it, I always maintain a high level of fitness. But as I said earlier, mental fitness gets you through those things, because in a test match you go up and down and you make errors and you have to deal with things. So those are all challenging moments. They sap your energy. And I mean, I was lucky enough to obviously do many Ashes test matches, and many test matches India were involved, and they was especially high profile. And all the things that happens around it, and then your body obviously knows you're in a battle, and all of that saps energy. It is just amazing. You know, you go do a first class game at domestic level, and you're not as tired as you are just from the mental difference. And there's no disrespect to that. It's just as challenging to make decisions at first class level, sometimes even more, because the wickets are not that great, and sometimes the techniques are not great. So you're probably more in the firing line than some international games. But just from a mental point of view, that was really draining. And I think the feeling is the greatest feeling in umpiring is when you walk off after a test match and you've had a good test match. That is just exhilarating feeling.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Elisa. Marais, 3 more hands. So 3 more questions. Sandeep, Julian, and then lastly 4917. Sandeep, you're up first, and we'll end off with 4917.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Hi, Maria. This
Hi,
question
Sandeep.
is, so this, hope you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know what was your take on the final 2019 World Cup, where Dharmasena has given an extra run to England that cost the World Cup to New Zealand.
Firstly, it wasn't just Kumar. It was a team. It was a team decision, because at the time we didn't see that they didn't cross when I think Guptill was the fielder when they threw. So we had the understanding that they did cross, and therefore we gave 6. But that was the incorrect call. Now, I wouldn't say it cost New Zealand the match. It might have. But I know that Trent Boult caught a 6 and stepped on the caught a catch and stepped on the boundary for 6. That could have been avoided. Many other things could have happened. So yes, we made a mistake. There were mistakes made in that game by players. So yeah, I don't feel bad about it. We made a genuine call in that moment. It's disappointing, but that's life. It happens in every game. Some team got 287 today. I don't think those bowlers are feeling great today, and that's cricket. You know, there's ups and downs, but yeah, that's still the highlight for me. Even though Yes, we made quite an error in that game, but it was a genuine mistake, and those things happen.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks, Maria. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for your question, Sandeep. Marais, the penultimate question for this evening is Julian. And before we go to lastly 4917, Julian, can you unmute your microphone and ask a question to Marais, please?
Good evening, everybody. Marais, I heard you talking about your last club game. If I remember correctly, your last club game was at Western Province.
Yes,
it was between Tygerberg and Northern Goodwood. It was a special occasion for the late Ronnie Pulowski.
Yes,
So
right,
I just needed to rectify you on that one. Thank you, Marais. Enjoy the evening.
It was a special day because Ronnie Pulowski assisted me in preparing for my entrance to first class cricket exam. And as you guys know, the entrance percentage or the passing rate is 80%. And we wrote a mock exam a week or two before the date that was set for the exam. And I was very busy still at school, still teaching, and I only got 67% for that mock exam. And Ronnie Pulowski wrote on my answer sheet, "Are you serious about umpiring?" So I got a kick up the butt, and 2 weeks later, I made sure that I passed.
Great stuff.
And thanks, Jules. 4917, over to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. By the way, I'm Tabs. Nice to meet all of you guys. Like, it's been fucking fantastic. Like, learning from all of the questions that the people have asked. So, my thing is, I actually wrote a lot of questions, like, to interrogate like the empire a little bit, but because I am a football fan, I will go back to this thing of hey, when you there was this thing like it was about finding.
I think we have an overrate problem here.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. It is the thing is it's a thing like when you make a call as an empire, right? Do you make a call like in terms of okay, cool, is it like the right call, or is it a thingy, a call that is good for the game per se?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I get the drift of what you want to ask. I've always said that when you make a decision and it is incorrect, and when the DRS is on and it's on the big screen, I always used to look at the big screen and try and learn in that moment what I got wrong. Did I get it right or did I get it wrong for the wrong reason? Or as an example, I heard two noises thinking it's pad, but it shows that it's pad. So at least I got the two noises right. So it's not a bad decision. It's incorrect, but it's not bad. And then sometimes you make a decision and you think afterwards, what was I thinking? Those were disappointed. And you disappointed.
So as an empire, do you have regrets? Making a decision, you're like, yo, maybe this was in the moment and maybe it was not the right one.
Yeah, no regrets, because in that moment, I made a genuine, honest decision. And yes, sometimes they were wrong. and I went to bed in the evening and I had no issues. And that was always my philosophy. I give it my best out there. Yes, I will make a mistake, but I never deliberately, made a decision either way. I just made it in that moment with the evidence I had, and luckily most of them were correct.
Okay, last question from me before I just turn off. When people are like appealing to you incessantly, have you like ever or have you just seen a situation whereby like, yo, this is an incessant and like not like a proper like appeal,
yeah,
and
if
then you like, yo,
feel,
bro, you guys are trying to abuse me, like in a
yes,
sense.
if you feel that they're trying to intimidate you, then you get the captain and you speak to them about excessive appealing. Also make sure that they only appeal once in that moment, not umpire, and all that nonsense. One appeal is good enough, and once you say not out, then they should stop. I once had a test bowler from Australia who said, "Can I not keep appealing until you give it out?" I said that will be practical, impossible, because I've already said not out. So, but that was a fast bowler's intelligence coming out.
Oh, shit. Thank you so much, man.
Pleasure.
Like the thing is, I kind of got like
thanks 4917. Marais,
thanks, guys.
There's just two more hands. One hand was raised since the beginning. He had issues with the mic, and then lastly we'll go to Sandeep all the way from the USA. So Mohammed Manga, can you unmute your microphone and ask a question to Marais, and then we'll get to you, Sandeep.
Hello, sir.
Oh.
Yes, greeting you guys from the Gambia.
Gambia, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I have a question concerning about the like umpire. Yeah, like for the square leg umpire, can a square leg umpire able to change or rectify the decision of the strikers and bowlers and umpire? That if the standing umpire make a decision, which is not something authentic, but seen by the square leg, because I normally have some issues concerning that with the some square leg umpires. They don't have the final say like to assist this standing umpires to make decision.
Yeah, the line was a little bit difficult, but I think I understood that sometimes square leg umpires get involved in the bowlers and umpires decision. Tom, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I made of it as well.
Okay, so I would say that, yeah, for an LBW decision, some umpires look at square leg to maybe give an indication if there's any bat involved, but it's your decision, and that's a challenge. Where a square leg umpire can get involved is an umpire given out someone, say, caught behind, and he saw that the ball actually bounced. Then you need to get involved as a square leg umpire. Because your colleague might have been unsighted and didn't see that. So you can't just let it go because you have information that he did not have. So in that sense, it's definitely about teamwork. But yeah, he can't overrule LBW decisions and things like that. Hopefully that's not what happened.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Mohammed. Marais, last question all the way to the USA. Sandeep, can you pose your question to Marais? Over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Abdullah, for this opportunity. I hope I'm audible. I apologize for any background noises coming because I'm on the business travel. I'm at the airport, so and this question might have already been answered, Marais, but I was through the security and all. I might have missed that. But the question is, what was your routine and the recipe of success when it comes to the decision making, when it is coming, when the bowler is in his bowler's side. What was your routine, and what you would suggest to your fellow umpires?
The most important thing is, and I had to remind myself every match, is follow your gut feel, and you will be correct most of the time. So having all the skills and the concentration, all those things are important, but in that moment, follow your gut. And then sometimes I was very frustrated because I sort of thought not out for a reason, or thought out for a reason, and then I went against my gut feel. And that was very frustrating. But if you can follow your gut and base it obviously on all those other skills that you learn through umpiring more and more in matches, and I think this is very important for someone who starts his umpiring journey like most of you are now. Don't expect to start this week and in 2-3 months be a professional umpire. It doesn't work that way. It is a long process. I was lucky that I got lots of opportunities. It still took me 6 years before I did an international T20 and 10 years before I did a test match. And I know guys like Billy Doctorow, took him 20 years to become a test umpire from the first match that he umpired. So be patient, learn your craft, learn your skills, get the experiences, and then your moment will come. So very best of luck to all of you. And just tell me, Sandeep, do you live in Dallas maybe? Unmute.
Sorry, I said no. I live in Atlanta, but when Tom and Abdullah is going to be here, I probably will be traveling to Dallas to meet them.
Well, I'm going to Dallas in July for the Major League Cricket.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm looking forward to that opportunity and then probably you will be in Morrisville as well, didn't you?
Hopefully Morrisville as well. Yes.
Okay. I met Simon there, Simon Tofel, last time when he was here. So now we are being connected. So it's gonna be pleasure to meet you in person, Marais.
Looking forward to that.
Same here, sir. Thank you very much, Abdullah and Tom, for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sandeep. Have a good rest of your day. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Abdullah. And thank you so much to Marais. And you've part answered my final question for the evening to you. Where to next? I hear you're going to be involved in the Major League Cricket in the US. So you're still umpiring domestic and franchise cricket? Is that your plan for the next?
The reason for my retirement is I've had enough of the traveling and being away from family. So I got this invitation to go to Major League Cricket, but I said, yes, I'll come, but I'm bringing my wife with. So that was the agreement. Well, not that they would have said no, but that was the decision made for us. So I'll be traveling if my wife can travel with us. And then from next season, I will still be umpiring domestically, definitely one more season on field. And I think I will be umpiring mainly with the next generation young ladies and gentlemen. So the following seasons after that, we'll find a role for me in our domestic setup. As you know, Tom, it's probably most likely going to be like a match referee role / I think they double up sometimes as an umpire coach as well. But any job that there's not too much admin.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Marais. Enjoy your retirement from international cricket, and we look forward to still seeing you on the domestic scene here in South Africa and a few franchise tournaments around the world, perhaps. Enjoy it and stay blessed.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Great stuff. So after that inspirational interview and question and answer session with Marais, we're going to go through the chat box to answer any other questions that you have had. And we're going to start sort of through all the issues that we had. Technicality first. That's seemingly sorted now. Apologies again for that. The first question that I pick up is from Digvijay. He asks if I can please talk more about the exchange program for umpires in the US or Canada. So Digvijay, I think, get to a slide in the presentation where I dealt in detail as to how umpires can come to South Africa. If you want more on that, then I think Abdullah has put a link on the chat box. Abdullah, maybe if you can copy and paste it again. The interview with Daitram Singh, who came to South Africa from November 2022 to Jan 2023 for 3 months worth of exchange umpiring, and he learned a great deal in that time. And he talks us through the process of how he got from doing his level 1 with us online in October 2022 while he was in India, all the way until the match he was watching with me at Newlands, which was the opening match of the SA20 in January 2023. So all the details you need about the exchange program are on the slide that I showed and also in that interview with Daitram. Then I see a few of you have put on your email addresses, and I will send all of you the course material and logistics email after this call. Tristan asks if I can send all documents to him, and he gives his email address. I will include you, Tristan, on that course material and logistics email. Right, just scrolling through, there were disconnection issues again. Right, 4917 asked if they are not winning already, would the wicketkeeper have raised the spirit of cricket? I think that question is to do with the video that I showed. So Abdullah, maybe if you can just talk us through the fact that at provincial and international level, we cannot ask umpires to, captains to withdraw their appeals, but at club level, we do encourage that. 4917, Tubbs, you've got your hand up. Do you want to just rephrase your question for us? Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Just a quick one. Like, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, the umpire, like, just, you know, touched on certain things that happens within the cricket game. So, with that, like, you know, is your decision like sometimes influenced by the occasion of the event, or you know?
Good question, Tubbs. Yeah. Is our decision influenced by the occasion of the event? Abdullah,
yeah.
Do you wanna? You've been involved in some big games recently. You want to talk us through the mindset that an umpire needs to have, especially in a high-pressure match, for example?
Because the thing is, sorry guys, just to like, you know, like try to elaborate on that, like, you know, like, it's a loud environment. It is an environment whereby you're like, oh, okay, cool. You can see stuff, but you cannot necessarily hear stuff. Right? So I think like right now I'm giving you like the out there because you could not hear the like anyway. But with that, like how do you judge those games whereby it's like on the knife's edge and it's either or.
Thanks,
And
Tubbs. I think we get the gist of your question for the
Sorry.
benefit of time.
Yeah.
Can we let Abdullah answer the question, please?
So Tubbs, part of your preparation for big games, and when I say big games, where you do have a full stadium, 25K in the stadium, where you do have all the technology available, like in cricket, the season review system being in place. Big games like the SA20, stadiums like St. George's Park in Kabega, South Africa, where there's this band playing, and then also the music over the loudspeaker. So now you have 25K in the stadium. You have this band playing even before you get to the ground. As you drive into the ground, this band is already playing. The noise levels are high, the crowd's high. So you need to mentally prepare yourself for this. You also don't need to put unnecessary pressure on yourself by saying, "Oh, it's a big game. Oh, it's big players." You prepare for the game. Yes, TV is going to be there. You know it's a full house. You know the noise are going to be there. So you need to have this preparation before the game start. And from an umpiring point of view, so to answer now your question, whether it's home crowd, whether there are TV involved, whether it's, let's say, the captain bowling, or whether it's the captain batting at the time, you need to make the call. You've got a split second to make the call. You as an umpire cannot be thinking, let's say, it's Virat Kohli, later when he was still captain. You cannot be thinking the ball hits the pad, oh, it's Kohli, and you start thinking, oh, Kohli, maybe not. You cannot be thinking that. Your thought process needs to be, it hits the pad. There's you go through your LBW process, if it's an LBW appeal. Go through your process, and if it ticks all the criteria for LBW, you need to then either say out or not out. You cannot be thinking who the player is or who the batter is. You cannot be thinking who the bowler is. You cannot be thinking it's a home game. What is the crowd going to think? Are they going, if I give the captain out, are they going to boo? That should not be part of your process. Then if that is going to influence you, then the match official space is not a place for you to be. You need to be able to make your come to big name players to please the crowd. I don't know if you want to add anything to it, Tom.
No, 100%, Abdullah. I think one of the best pieces of advice I've received as an umpire in my initial phase of umpiring was from our former president of Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, Desmond Barnes. He says, make your decisions without fear or favor. Very simple, sometimes difficult to apply, but if you keep that in mind, you will be correct more often than not. There are a couple of questions that have been asked over the microphones, so I won't read those in the chat box. Tawanda asks, will refusal to replace a player by the opposition captain be classified as against the spirit of cricket? Abdullah?
Tawanda, you probably have half looking at from one angle, the spirit angle, and the other half looking at from the laws of cricket angle.
So if I go purely laws of cricket, the law allows a player to be replaced, but there is a condition that needs to be met. You need to have the permission of the opposing captain. It is a law, and if you want to replace, ask the opposing captain. If the opposing captain say no, the law, leaves it up to him or her to say yes or no. So some would say it's a law. So the law allows the captain to say yes or no. So if the captain say no, how can that be against the spirit of cricket if that is what the laws of cricket allows? That's the one angle. So no issue from the law. If the captain say no, you cannot fault him or her on it because the law allows, or the law gives the condition captain to say yes or no. The other angle that would say yes, let's say a player break his leg or break his finger, not able to participate anymore in the game. So yes, I know the law says opposing captain needs to give permission, but I mean, surely that is against the spirit. Why would anyone to give permission? You're now ineffectively playing against 10 players because that, let's say, player that, let's say, broke his or her leg won't be able to participate in the game anymore. Yes, they'll allow a substitute, but that substitute can only field. So yes, there will be some that says, surely that is against the spirit. So depending on which angle you look from it, whether you're looking at it from the law angle that allows it, so there's absolutely no issue if the captain says no because the law allows it. Then there's the angle from, yeah, but yes, I know the law allows it, but surely it's against the spirit. If that is the angle you're looking from, and that's how you feel, then yeah, then that's how you feel. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Another question from Tawanda. Are the two umpires on equal footing, or will one be senior to the other? I.e., whether one is substantive and the other is an assistant. Abdullah, please clarify that for us.
When it comes to umpires, we are a team, we are equal, we make decisions together. And I'm not sure if Marais is still on this call. Is Marais still here on the call? Tom, or is he left? Because I want to use an example in my second season where I actually stood with Marais at Newlands. So anyway, if he is, I would love him to hear this because it was a great moment in my umpiring career. So my second season as an umpire on the national panel of Cricket South Africa. Yeah, I get to stand with Marais Erasmus, at Newlands, and I'm like, whoopee, whoopee. So, I get there. And the first thing is so obviously Marais test umpire. So I felt like the junior umpire of the two. I'll just keep my mouth shut and I'll do what Marais say and I'll listen to what Marais say. But from day one, it was a 3-day game. So from day one, as I walked into the change room, Marais made me feel welcome. He made me feel inclusive. He'll speak to me. He'll ask my opinion. He'll ask me, have you stood for these players before? How's this one? How's this one? So I felt inclusive from even before the day started. Now day one started. In all decisions where we needed to to get together and to consult, as let's say Marais comes over to me, you'd ask me, Abdullah, what do you think?